Hi, everyone. Welcome to yet another weekly call for the merge request report widgets. I have lost count on what call this is, but it's a great one for sure. So let's go straight to announcements. Ryan, I need to drop. That's fine. Whenever you have to drop. And Fernando, you have the first point to discuss.
Sure. So Yannick and I met earlier this week to sync up on the MR widget extensions for license compliance. I'm picking up the work that he had started. And some questions came up. So I just wanted to confirm that the feature flag strategy for this. So I think we were digging around and we saw the refactor MR widgets extensions feature flag. So first part of the question, is that the correct one? And then the second part is, do we plan to roll these out together, as in all the, I guess the current parts of the merge request that are going to be migrated to these extensions? Are they all rolling out at the same time? Okay.
So yeah, there's two steps to that answer. So the first is there's still some things we need to do, because right now, as you see on the example MR, when the feature flag is enabled, we display both the old ones and the new ones. Right.
Okay.
So that's one thing. We have an issue for it. It's currently being scheduled for this next milestone. I need to confirm that whether it gets in or not. But it's just a simple like toggle, just not render the old ones if it's on. It's very simple. So that's the first step. The second is basically how we're going to start to roll this out. And in this moment, when you enable the feature flag, all of them will be shown, the ones that are currently available. So for the ones that are still in development, they're probably going to need individualized feature flags from then on. So the ones that are ready, I think the strategy that we discussed in the past was that once we're ready to turn it all on and the full support of the core widget component is being added, we can start rolling it out for GitLab.com, www.gitlab.com, and then GitLab.org GitLab project, and we'll let that roll for a couple of weeks and see how the feedback rolls in, and then we'll realize, is this mixed look a problem? Is it not? And what are the things we need to address? As we're developing, say that, for example, in your case, you're developing a widget and it's not ready yet as we're about to turn it on, we can then make that call whether to wait for you or just to roll these out, and you just introduce one individualized feature flag for your own widget, and that way you can control when you want to turn that on.
Okay, so I think, and that clarifies, that's what I suspected something along the lines would happen. My only concern is like nested feature flags, like two of them get a little iffy there, but I mean, it's doable. So I think what I can do is, it sounds like in the meantime, if I have incremental merge requests to work on license compliance, I don't need a specific feature flag quite yet.
Not right now.
But I should at least keep the group updated in these weekly syncs on the status. So I assume that when we're ready to enable it, we'll make an announcement so that
absolutely
we'll come back around and be like, hey, our widget's not ready yet. Let me introduce our specific feature flag to hide it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're thinking. And we won't have like a turnkey thing where everybody has to turn the key at once, but we'll make sure that everybody who's been involved, you, Peyton, Phil, you all been consulted before turning that on for sure. I'll put a note here.
Awesome. I guess, yeah, the second question I had was, so I guess I'll share my screen here. One sec. Figure out which window. I think it's this one. Okay. So I'm not sure if you guys seen the screen before, maybe in the past, as I wasn't in the earlier meetings, but this is the MR widget mocks for license compliance. And what had been discussed before is like these subgroupings or L3 feature, I guess. So the question was, I think I have three options here. I could wait for L3 support. I could help with L3 support, help speed that up. And then I'd be able to do something like this, the denied, uncategorized, or allowed, or which I think is the other option was, and kind of came up in discussion, was if we had no L3 support and no grouping, and these were just all one level, we wouldn't really know what these are. The only indication of grouping we would have is by the symbol, the icon, but you have no context to it. So that brought up the question of, is hovering over and having a tooltip, part of the UX design spec for these for these widget extensions. I don't know what the stance is on tooltips. Is it, very specific to certain UI components, or it's a general rule that, for how those should be implemented? I don't know if that's like very vague, but
No, I can answer the part of the level 3. So level 3 was already on schedule for this milestone. I think it's slipping for the next one because we got sidetracked on a couple of other stuff, but it is coming. So if anything, Phil, from what I heard from Phil, he was very confident in the way that he's going to tackle that. So I don't think help is necessary. You are kind of blocked by that a little bit. So eventually he can send it for your review. I'll drop a line to him for him to be aware of that. But I don't think we need to circumvent that. I think it's coming within a couple of, not days, but a week or so should be coming. So just plan for that accordingly.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll go ahead and maybe I'll just sync with him to just see where his thoughts are.
That'll be best. That'll be best. From the UX, do you have any questions, any thoughts, Jeremy, on the tooltip part?
I just got to comment that the tooltip should only be on focusable elements. Otherwise, like keyboard users would never be able to activate the tooltip and get that information too. So that's my only comment on that.
But it's allowed by the framework?
I would say no, not allowed at this point. Just because that's not a focusable element.
I said that's make it very much clearer. Thank you.
If we needed to do something in the interim, I would just suggest prefixing that with text if necessary, in the interim, to just state whether it's denied or disabled, whatever the status might be.
I guess as a follow-up question for planning, because right now I could be unblocked by, not having them grouped because not having L3 support, right? But then the question is, if I go through that effort and we're not enabling that flag anyway, then that implementation is, it's not going to be used anyway, and I'll be adding L3 support down the line anyway. So I'm in this in between. Should I just wait, work on some other stuff, which is I'm leaning towards that option, and I could convey that to my engineering manager, and I could work on other stuff because, originally I think the plan was to get it landed last milestone in the interim, but if we're not enabling the flag anyway, the work is done and we're going to end up migrating it to the L3 support anyway. So we're kind of in this limbo state.
Yeah, I think if we had the feature enabled already, we would follow the iteration approach and you would, roll out whatever you can, but it's disabled. So I think it might as well just wait a week or two. You can still have it in the milestone. I wouldn't prevent it from being in 14.9, but maybe plan it for the second half of it, probably. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying. That was helpful.
Thanks for the questions. Anything else for us to discuss? I forgot to announce, but the documentations have been merged. I'm going to find the link. It's in the channel topic thing, bookmarks. So that's the technical documentation. Thanks for everyone who helped with that. I'm going to put, yes, thanks. Heine, thank you so much for the note taking. Very much appreciated. So there's the link. So if any changes need to be done, if it's not clear, do send the feedback and to the channel and we'll find a way to address it. But it feels very good to see this thing take shape. And okay, last call. Any questions, any things to discuss? So I will be back in April. And I'll see you all there. Until then, have fun and don't break anything. No, actually break things. That's how we move forward.
I did have one last question. And
oh, you do?
Yeah.
See, I was just stalling to see if questions came up.
No,
go ahead.
Congrats, by the way.
Thanks, Fernando.
I'll keep it short, but do you know who would be running the meeting next while you're out, and does that person already have permissions to stream to YouTube and all that, just logistics?
Yep. So who will run the meeting in your absence? I've asked, and Tim stepped up. He's not here today, but I'm still here. But he's in charge of making sure that the call happens, the streamings and recordings are made available. So if he can't be here, we'll find someone to delegate to. So if he can't, probably expect him to ping you or something. But Tim Zalman, so just to be clear, because there's also Tim Noah. Tim Zalman will be my replacement. But yes, so that's that. And again, honestly, I'm not really doing that much. I'm just showing up. So even if nobody's here, you know what to do. Just hit record, and then somebody just volunteer to share the recording. It's an organic movement. We'll get it done. I trust in you. But yeah, anything else? All right, then that's it. I'll see you in April. Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.